Hey everyone, it's been a while since I've made one of these, so I just thought I'd make a video going over my thoughts on the market and what coins I plan to look at over the next few weeks, and basically the trajectory over the next few weeks. So we know that um, the holidays are coming up. We have end of year, possibly tax harvesting from people that have made too much money. So I expect us to head lower, and I'll explain my reasoning on that. But for those in the Discord, um, and actually Twitter as well, I've shared this chart a few times. I've gone over it in my previous videos, but this is the Bitcoin volatility index, and I mentioned once we get into the zone, we'll have a big move. Now the move is going to be undecided whether it was up or down. It was down, and there were many indicators of why we went down, which I did mention in the Discord. So the first things first, spot Bitcoin price is still $70 below um, the perp price. So Coinbase spot is the one that I look at the most, is $70 down, and it still hasn't reset. So the market is still heavily over leveraged, and as long as this is um, below the per price, I still think we go further down. When I first mentioned this in the Discord and on Twitter, Bitcoin was sitting around 42K. Okay, so we dipped to 40.8, and I don't think it's over. I don't think the volatility is over. I think in the next 2 or 3 days we'll have even more. However, we could even just still range in this zone for Bitcoin volatility and have a bigger move towards Christmas. So because it's the holidays, liquidity and volume will be low. One big seller or one big buyer can move the price a lot. So in my opinion, if you guys are trading leverage over the next week or two, I'd tone it down on position sizing. Probably use, you know, a third or half of normal size because you really don't know what the market will entail. And with tax harvesting, people selling at a loss because they've made too much to wash their profits could go in as well. Okay, so I just urge some caution. Now, taking a look at Bitcoin, right? We created this once we dumped. Um, this was, I think, Sunday's high and low, right? But we created this range here, okay? And we marked our range low and then we marked our range high. We came back and we bounced from the support level a few times. Okay. Once we broke out here, we broke out, got close to the supply zone. Let's make that red here. We have a supply zone. We briefly touched it, but we actually hit an SR point and rejected. Deviated back below into the range. Once we went to retest and we closed back below again, that was your short trigger with somewhere with stops like somewhere above here. And now looking back for range lows. Okay, now the tricky part on this one is because we go back down here, we have a possible inverse head and shoulders forming. Okay, we need the touch of the neckline here, but once we have it, we have the right, we have the head, maybe a bounce a little bit higher, create that right shoulder. This one's not it, but create it here, and then further go down. Now, on a higher time frame, okay, this was higher high, higher low, higher high. We made a lower low, we made a lower high, and then I mentioned that we're going to possibly make a new lower low. Now, everyone and their mothers is looking at this 38.5 to 35K range. Okay, and this level, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, is demand. It's also the breakout. Okay, we once we broke down, turned this into resistance, went back up again, rejected from it, then we broke out and never retested this level. And I do think eventually we'll get it. It might be front ran So we might have a wick below quickly and then back up, but on a higher time frame, such as the daily, we are making higher highs and higher lows. So if we do come back down here and we grab at least some of this liquidity, it doesn't mean we have broken market structure, especially if you are able to draw a trend line here. Okay, it's a perfect place to bounce. You not only have the demand zone, but you have another touch of this trend line. Now, lose the trend line. Okay, this is your, in my opinion, your market structure break. Okay, so lose here, whoops, lose here, turn into resistance, go up, retest. That would be your short trigger, and then short back to down here at 25k. Okay, otherwise this is a long opportunity for me. Your stops would have to be manual because you're looking for a market structure break if it closes the candle below. All right, the wicks don't count, candle closures below. Same with here. If we were to lose this, let's say we close, here, right? You're looking for that bearish retest point. If we turn that into resistance, you'll take a scalp short, stops somewhere above here, and then you'll target to down over this 35.6k region. Okay, until this is lost, I wouldn't panic. We also have not grabbed this liquidity yet. Okay, we haven't retested this breakout point, so we might even have a deep wick into that and we'll be okay. But panic should set in once this 35.6k level is lost and turned into resistance. Okay, that's the market structure breakpoint. Until then, this is a normal, healthy pullback, but we're going to play the range. Okay, maybe take a sweep of these lows over here, take the liquidity. Let me remove some of these lines. Okay, take the sweep of these, reclaim range lows. You will mark it long with your stops below the wick, and it's the best RR swing failure pattern trade. I can't give you that trade yet because we have not made that wick yet to grab these lows. Okay, so simple range trade. So that's it for Bitcoin. This range high is still resistance. If we do go back to retest it, we do have a 4-hour order block here. Okay, if we go reject, close below, possible short scalp can be taken, but this one's going to be a little bit riskier because if we do break out, right, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 touches of this trend line. It's getting weaker and weaker every time. If we do break out, you're looking to possibly see, hopefully a rejection into your shorts, then retest. That would be your first TP, right? And then just gonna play the range until broken. We've had 1 deviation, 2 touches over here. This looks, if you take a look at this range, it looks similar to Solana, right? This is also another coin that I gave in terms of the range. Okay, it's actually this one. And then here is the range lows. Okay, so range highs, range lows, we had a deviation. Range highs, range lows, deviation. Come back to range lows, possibly come back to range lows, right? And then reject again from range highs. If we fill, reject from range highs, probably go to mid-range, okay? And then flip the range high levels into support, continue higher, okay? Now, if you take this wick, then it's a little bit different, right? Because here's your range highs, here's your range lows. We have deviation, reject, 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 break out, flip it to support, and then continue higher, okay? So if this is going to be the same exact thing, we should take out liquidity. Wicks are okay, bounce higher, reject, maybe reject a few times, come back to mid-range, and then once we flip this 43K level, this red line, then we should go higher. Okay. Now let's take a look at Sol. I'm going to keep these. And just to mention, I'm opening up another class of one of my courses in January if there is enough interest. Otherwise, the scheduled opening is going to be March. If you guys are interested in my course, feel free to DM me. Um, Otherwise, I will make the more public announcement in March. Okay. So same thing here. Right. Here's your range highs. Here's your range lows. Okay. Support, support. It's getting weaker and weaker. On the daily, we had an SFP. Okay, we took the highs, closed back below. Okay, we have an order block here, which would be another tap of the support area. Now this one's going to be a little bit riskier because we've already touched this area twice, but a scalp can be taken. Again, this is the new range. This was previous range, range highs, range lows, range highs, deviation, come back to possibly range lows. If you want a more riskier or secure trade, right, you can play this here, maybe along at 65 with a very tight stop, right, 63. It's about 2% risk. Okay. Now, extra confluence for the trade, right? Trend line, come here, hopefully wick and hold. Otherwise, lose this. You know, we're probably going to go back into this range. We have a possible double deviation. Go back into that range, and then you look to short there. If we turn this previous range high into resistance, just like we did here, it's going to be a fat deviation back into this range. Okay, so here is your mid-range. Right, so turn that into resistance, mid-range, range lows. So this could be a possible good scalp to take. Okay, it's the order block. Otherwise, if we do go higher, right, we could be putting in a possible 3 drive pattern or taking it from here, right, a little rising wedge. This needs to hold. Okay, hold here, maybe a revisit of the highs here, but I personally expect us to reject from this order block. So a good short can be taken there. Okay, that's what I'm looking for Solana. 3 separate short trades and or 3 separate plays, different confirmations for the trade, and we just go from there. Okay. The next coin that I'm looking to get myself into again is Injective. You know, I gave this multiple times to the Discord. Okay. This just put in another lower high. So if I were to draw little trend lines, right? Little falling wedge. This looks gross, but look at this. So this has been on a tear, okay? Higher high, higher low, higher high, right? And then we made a lower low. Well, we made a lower low here, okay? lower high, lower low, lower high. What I see happening is if this retest doesn't hold here, and we'll go on a lower time frame really quickly, we have an order block around 29. Now this is the previous high that we broke out from. Okay, let me just make this into a ray really quickly. Okay, so I like this demand zone. That's where I'm going to take my trade if we get it. Okay, stops below, and I'm targeting new highs. Okay, so let's draw the trend. Okay, this needs to hold here, or we have an inverse head or a head and shoulders sideways. Okay, with the target of, if it breaks down, technical targets of around 22 or $23, which would stop me out. But this is technically, okay? This has been a strong coin. It's performing well against Bitcoin. I expect this demand zone to hold, so that's where I'm taking my long. Okay, a scalp long can be taken at this order block, but the chances of you getting stopped are pretty high. Okay, so if you're going to take this call, it'll be a risky play. Maybe risk like 1 or 2% and take it that way. But I expect this to at least come and test the trend line and see what happens. Lose the trend line, turn into resistance. You'll short with your stops probably somewhere above here. Okay, I can't give you the time frame or the location yet, but that's how you would play it. Multiple videos, and in the Discord I go over how to play these trend lines. Okay, that's where I plan to take it. If you want to start accumulating injective, I do think it's $100 coin in the long term. In my opinion, anywhere from this previous all-time high down to, okay, if you can get basically anywhere in between here. Okay, from 27 down to about 16 is a buy for the long term. I don't care about trying to time the bottom. You will DCA. If someone tells you DCAing is stupid, go fuck their mothers. Okay. All right. So that's the trade plan, right? Short, if it turns into resistance, possible long scalp. I'm not taking this one. Manage your risks accordingly. I will take this one. DCA would probably come at this order block here. Okay. Last but not least, TIA. Okay. Getting rejected hard at this trend line. The 4-hour took these highs and SFP'd. Okay. I want to see if this level holds here. Okay. It's already made, depending where you want to take your thing from. But if we draw this trend line, okay, this is a level that must hold, right? Now, if I took fibs, the golden pocket is going to be from 10.8 to 10.6. That's a possible long and bounce point. Okay, so a long can be taken there. If that happens and bounces, now you have a possible head and shoulders. Okay, if it bounces from there, look for a rejection here. You would definitely TP a little bit here. I would long there. I'm going to long it on spot, but my area to get some is going to be this 4-hour or this daily order block around the 786 fib. This is going to be my play. Okay, this is a spot play, so take it on leverage, find your own low time frame. Okay, so I have this stops below the low. If we go back down here, now this is a manual stop. Okay, this is a spot chart. Sorry, this is a perp chart, but I'm taking this on spot. I will buy all the way down to 2, and I will sell to retail when they buy around 90 or to $100. Okay, this is the buy zone. So here, here, here. In between, layer your bids. Okay, those are the only coins that I'm currently looking at. I'm not looking into AVAX. I already gave you guys the Sol and AVAX plays. I told you we'll run to $80. Sol did. I told you money will rotate from Sol into AVAX. It did. It went to 46. But any other coins that I want to take a look at, I'm gonna have to see throughout the week. Um, but another coin such as BIGTIME holding very well on this dump. Okay, we have a possible breakout, failed just now, but if it breaks out, should give a nice 26% move back up to range highs. Okay, here is your range. I personally would love to get long in this demand zone here. I already gave this on one of my streams. Okay, buy there. I'm not talking about leverage, but for leverage, sweep these lows, reclaim range, market long, stops below. If we go back to range highs, you can. We'll have a double bottom formation. This looks like an elongated cup and handle, not a real cup and handle, because the handle comes below the 50% mark, but breakout, retest, possible short there. You have resistance at the mid-range. Flip this level, will make new highs. Okay, so your long trigger would be swing failure pattern hasn't happened yet. Take these lows. You will mark it long once it's swept. Close the 4 hour above this point. Mark it long. Stops below that wick, and you're going to play the range. Otherwise, breakout. Let's go on the 2 hour. Okay, here is your possible inverse head and shoulders. Break out, retest, flip this into support, then you will long with your possible stops below here, target range highs, take profit at resistance, move your stop loss to break even, and then there you go. Okay, so 3 separate plays. You possibly short at range highs as well until broken. So the short would look something like that, back down to range lows. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for in the markets. I am still long on my spots. I have the bids set in the discords as well. And yeah, that would be it. If anything else, I'll update my channel. Thanks, everyone.